The sheriff arrived with a warrant, revealing the hidden storm that had brewed beneath Jack's smiling facade. As he stepped into Jack's house, the quiet of the neighborhood felt electric, a hum of anticipation tinged with justice. Clara and I stood at the edge of our porch, watching, heartbeats racing. Moments later, the sheriff emerged, a look of disbelief etched on his face. "You won't believe what we found," he said, eyes wide as he held up a small black box containing a collection of SD cards. "This goes way beyond what we imagined. Footage from neighbors' homes, audio recordings, it's a complete invasion of privacy." A wave of collective outrage rippled through the gathered onlookers. They began to assemble, murmurs of disbelief echoing as one by one, they realized their own lives had been under surveillance. I glanced over at Clara, who stood rooted to the spot, her expression one of relief mixed with anger. The crowd simmered, restless energy swirling in the air. Jack burst out of his house, his face flushed with fury as he spied the gathering throng. "This is absurd," he shouted. "You don't know what you're talking about. This is all a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding? You've been spying on us," a neighbor shouted, the accusation slicing through his denial like a knife. Before Jack could respond, the sheriff held up his hand, quieting the crowd. "We're here to investigate. Jack, we've received multiple reports from your neighbors about excessive surveillance. What do you have to say for the footage found in your possession?" "I don't have to explain myself to any of you," he hissed, venom dripping from his voice. "This is all just so exaggerated. I was looking out for our community." "What you're building is a jail of fear," I said, stepping closer, emboldened by the support of my neighbors. "You wouldn't know community if it hit you in the face." His eyes flashed, realization dawning. "You think you can just stand there, act like a hero? You don't know anything about me." "Then tell us." Clara blurted, stepping beside me. "Why do this? Why spy on your neighbors?" Jack inhaled sharply, hesitating for a heartbeat before the walls of his composure shattered. "Because I wanted to control it. The chaos, the madness of all of you. Don't you see? Someone had to stop the noise, the unpredictable behavior before it ruined the neighborhood. By destroying our privacy," a voice shouted from the back. "That's your solution." "Everyone has a right to defend their home," he retorted, his voice rising. "I only wanted to protect what we built." A hush fell over the group, every person connecting in understanding. They had lived this struggle together, but had let the facade of normality blind them to the reality at play. Jack was no longer just a neighbor, he had become a symbol of everything that can go wrong when someone loses sight of their humanity. Just then, the sheriff stepped forward, a hard edge to his voice. "Jack, I suggest you cooperate and use this opportunity to explain your actions. You're not a villain unless you choose to be." His breath hitched, eyes darting, and I saw the flicker of vulnerability in his expression. I just wanted peace," he stammered, the bravado fading. "Peace is built on trust, not secrets," Clara said softly, her voice cutting through the tension. "We can help you, Jack. But you have to want it." The crowd murmured in agreement, sympathy coiling through their shared anger. Jack's shoulders slumped, breaking slightly as he glanced away. "I will turn the footage over to the authorities," he whispered, fear threading through his voice. But I didn't know how to fix it. As we all stood watching, I felt the weight of their unity settle around us. What had begun with hostility now transformed into the possibility of resolution. The sun cast long shadows under the trees, and the air felt lighter, as if understanding hovered just above us. I want that too," he finally admitted, his voice breaking with sincerity. And in that moment, amidst the faces of neighbors who were once fractured, we recognized the power of second chances. We were on the precipice of something larger than our individual struggles, building a bridge toward healing. As I watched Jack begin to take those first steps toward change, I knew the real battle for our community wasn't against the drones looming above but rather the hidden struggles within ourselves. And together, we would learn to reclaim our space and find harmony amidst the chaos. Soaring above us, valor and freedom had taught us to rise as one. We'd rooted ourselves not just in the fight against injustice but in the understanding that true connection transcends the boundaries we place on ourselves. And with that new dawn breaking, the next chapter of our story was just beginning. "Jack, you're done," I shouted, the anger coursing through me like wildfire. The crowd behind me surged forward, the weight of their fury palpable. Jack's bravado was shattered, and he scoffed, trying to regain his footing. "Listen, everyone calm down. I did what I had to for the community." His voice trembled, but he forced a smile that only infuriated the crowd more. Save it, Jack. Clara stepped closer, eyes blazing. You think invading our privacy was protecting us? Exactly, he barked, desperation creeping in. You don't understand the chaos I was trying to control. Chaos? Is that what you call it? I advanced, my heart thudding in my chest. Because all I see is a man who thinks he can play puppet master over everyone's lives. He opened his mouth to retort, but the sheriff stepped in, cutting him off. Jack, let's not make this worse. You need to take responsibility for what you've done. Hand over those devices and get the help you need. The air crackled with tension, and I could see Jack's mind racing, calculating his next move. You're making a mistake, he growled, stepping back toward his house. Don't take another step, the sheriff commanded, voice hardening. You're already in deep water. With a flash of panic, Jack turned and bolted toward his front door. Instinct kicked in, and I sprinted after him, adrenaline pushing my legs to move faster. The neighbors followed, sensing the confrontation erupting into chaos. Get back here. I yelled, reaching the porch just as Jack swung the door open and disappeared inside. The crowd buzzed behind me, voices rising in urgency. Tom, don't. Wait. Clara's voice pierced through, but I pushed past the warning, adrenaline drowning out reason. I threw myself into the house, the dim light fighting to penetrate the drawn curtains. My heart raced as I spotted Jack rummaging through a desk, desperate. My gut twisted with fear of what he might do next. Jack, don't. I shouted, lunging forward. But he spun around, clutching his phone tightly. You don't understand, he shouted, eyes wild. I had to know everything, to keep you all safe. From what? From who? I demanded, inching closer. You've become the real threat. In a moment of panic, he pressed a button on the phone, and suddenly the walls filled with chaos, alarms blared, lights flickered, and the ominous whir of drones hummed back to life outside. What did you just do? I yelled, realizing he triggered an emergency alert linked to his surveillance network. Prepare for the worst. Jack shouted, a manic glint in his eye. I won't let you take me down. Before I could respond, a shadow darted past the window. I rushed to the glass, heart racing, catching a glimpse of the massive drone hovering just outside, its rotors spinning ferociously. It's back. I shouted to the crowd, panic rising in my chest. Jack, you need to shut it down. Clara cried from the doorway, her voice cutting through the noise. You don't know what's coming. But he just laughed, a chilling sound. Let it come. I'll show you the power of knowledge. Suddenly, the drone swooped down, a spotlight piercing the gloom and searching. As it scanned the house, I noticed something strapped beneath it, a large, menacing device. What is that? Jack's eyes widened. His decided to escalate. I didn't think it would happen so soon. With a rush of dread, I grabbed Clara's arm. We need to get everyone out. He's put us all in danger. As we backed away, the drone hovered, the device beneath it glinting ominously. And then, it dropped. A loud bang echoed through the room, shaking the very foundation of the house. The blast sent us sprawling to the ground, debris raining down as the drone unleashed chaos. Get out. Now. I roared, helping Clara to her feet. We stumbled outside, where the neighbors were already racing away, fear etched on their faces. But Jack stood frozen, mouth agape, as he watched the destruction unfold around us. I just wanted control, he shouted, desperation spilling from him. You don't understand. There's no control in chaos. I screamed back. You've lost everything. Just then, another blast rocked the area, and the drone spiraled into the air, recovering from the impact but clearly off balance. Its sensors flared, agitated by the disturbance in the crowd. I need to fix this. Jack cried, frantically looking around. No, Jack. You need to face what you've done. Clara yelled. The drone hovered menacingly above, and out of nowhere, Vela swooped down, a magnificent shadow contrasting the chaos above. With precision, she'd spotted the threat, clearly trained to protect her territory. Vela. I shouted, pointing. Get that thing. Jack's eyes widened in realization. No. You can't let her. The drone charged again, but Vela was faster. As she dove for the drone, Jack's short-sightedness rippled through, he was still unwilling to let go. But Vela wouldn't be silenced. She banked sharply, her talons aimed true. From below, the drone struggled but couldn't evade her. Then, a burst of sparks shot out, and the drone faltered, dropping sharply from the sky. Clarity surged through me, this was our chance. Now. Everyone, help me. I shouted, rallying the neighbors behind me as the drone crash-landed in the yard. With adrenaline fueling us all, we rushed to the wreckage, ready to finish what Jack had started. The stakes were higher than ever, and the only way forward was to dismantle the chaos he had unleashed for good. The battle for our home, our privacy, our future had truly begun. As the dust settled, I glanced over my shoulder, seeing Jack standing at the threshold, a wounded look on his face. But I couldn't worry about him now. We had a fight ahead of us, and this time, we'd stand together, ready to reclaim what was rightfully ours. The drone lay scattered in the yard, smoke curling from its innards. The crowd surged around me as we approached the wreckage, the air thick with apprehension and resolve. Jack stood frozen on the porch, uncertainty etched onto his face, as if grappling with a reality he couldn't bear. "Tom, what do we do now?" Clara whispered urgently beside me, her eyes darting from the debris to Jack, who looked increasingly unhinged. "Now, we find out exactly what has been hiding," I replied, my voice low but steady. "And it's time to hold him accountable." Before I could step forward, Jack finally found his voice. "You're making a terrible mistake. You have no idea what he was planning." "What were you planning, Jack?" I demanded, taking a step closer. "Was it just surveillance, or something worse?" He hesitated, eyes flickering with fear and guilt. "I wanted to keep everyone safe," he muttered, almost pleading. "I thought if I knew everything, I could protect this place." "You've brought nothing but destruction," Clara shouted back, anger boiling over. "Look around. You've endangered us all." As the last wisps of smoke curled in the breeze, I caught a glimpse of a small, glittering object emerging from the wreckage. I bent down, pulling it free from the debris. "What's this?" I asked, holding it up to the light. Jack's face paled. "No. You shouldn't have that." "It's a data chip," I said, my heart racing. "What do you have on here?" "Don't." Jack lunged forward, but the crowd surged behind me, pushing him back. "What is it, Jack?" I pressed, feeling the weight of the moment. "What's on this chip?" He hesitated, fear flickering in his eyes. "Evidence of everything I did. The recordings, the secrets, it could ruin lives." Ignoring his protests, Clara stepped close. "If you truly care about us, you need to come clean. We can fix this together, but only if you stop running." He faltered, doubt creeping into his resolute facade. "You really think I can make this right?" "I don't know, but you can try," I said firmly. "You owe us that much." With a deep breath, Jack stepped closer, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "Fine. I'll show you," he whispered, barely audible. Before I could respond, the ground trembled beneath us, a low, ominous rumble that echoed through the neighborhood. The crowd looked around, confusion etched on their faces, but my gaze snapped back to Jack. "What did you do?" I shouted, panic rising. I can't control it," he stammered, looking from the ground to the sky. "Control what?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. Just then, the ground erupted into chaos. A series of drones, far larger and faster than the previous one, shot into the air from hidden compartments in Jack's yard. They glinted in the sunlight, ominous machines of destruction being deployed. "Jack, stop them!" I shouted over the rising noise, urgency in my voice. "They're not just mine," he shouted back, eyes wide with fear. "I didn't build them, I was forced into this." "By who?" I pressed, the realization dawning. "You were working with someone?" He nodded frantically, his voice barely rising above the din of the machines. "I tried to break free, I really did. But it's too late." "Too late for what?" Clara demanded, stepping closer, her fear now turning to determination. The drones began to circle, their cameras swiveling menacingly, and I caught a glimpse of a massive control center hidden within the woods on the outskirts of our neighborhood. Their true purpose flashed before me, the threat looming larger as they took aim. "Jack, we can't let them take us." I shouted, adrenaline surging through me. "We need a plan." But before he could respond, one of the drones dove toward Clara, and without thinking, I lunged forward, pushing her aside just in time. The drone launched a projectile toward me, but in a split second, Jack's hand shot up, activating a mechanism embedded in his home, redirecting the drone's course just enough for it to miss us, crashing into the ground nearby. "Get inside," he roared, the adrenaline granting him newfound strength. We scrambled back to his house, the urgency of the moment electrifying us all. Inside, we dashed toward the control panel, the heart of Jack's operations. What can you do? I asked breathlessly. I can shut them down, if we work together, he called, fingers flying across the keys. As the drones circled overhead, blasting searchlights against the walls, the tension shifted. We were no longer just neighbors, we were a team, united against a common foe. Clara and I grabbed anything we could as makeshift weapons, eyes locked on Jack as he typed furiously. They need a signal to operate, he explained. I can interrupt the control frequency, but I might need a distraction. I'll handle that, I said, the plan forming in my mind. Clara, grab that fire extinguisher. If I lure them down, we can spark a chain reaction with the drones. With a loud crash, the front door swung open. Drones buzzed in, and I sprinted out, adrenaline pumping and fear clawing at my throat. I could feel their surveillance cameras locking onto me as I ducked and weaved, the air humming with danger. Now! I yelled at Jack. Do it. He hit a key with a flourish, and suddenly, the drones faltered, their movements hesitating. My heart raced as I shouted, "Bring it down." The fire extinguisher went off in a cloud of white, creating a smokescreen. The drones swooped in, confused by the chaos. Sparks flew as they collided, spiraling down, crashing into one another in a cacophony of noise and destruction. Keep it going. Jack shouted, a manic gleam in his eyes. As the last drones fell, rising smoke obscured the vision ahead. But something deeper stirred in me, I could sense it, the control center in the woods. We had to end it for good. Clara, get the chip. I yelled, the urgency roaring through me. We need proof of everything going on here. Jack, stay close. We tore through the remnants of the invasion toward the trees. Bursting through the underbrush, we suddenly found ourselves face to face with a massive structure, pulsating with energy, the source of Jack's torment. Help me. Jack shouted, colliding with me as I pulled Clara back. This is where they control everything. Then let's take it down, Clara said, her determination blazing. Jack swallowed hard, then nodded, the weight of regret hanging heavy in the air. If we destroy this, we set things right for everyone. Together, I said, raising my chin defiantly. With a deep inhale, Jack activated the access points, and the control center began to hum and click. The walls pulsated, revealing streams of data flickering within. Look! Clara shouted, pointing to a screen. That's everyone's recordings, the surveillance. The truth hung there, raw and vulnerable. We exposed the darkness Jack had unleashed. Let's use it against them, I urged. I'll initiate a meltdown, Jack said, fingers flying over the controls. One last chance to make it right. As the alarm blared, a voice boomed from the speakers. Emergency protocol engaged. Destroyers in station. Metals required to contain. That's the backup. Clara gasped. They're preparing for a fight. No more running. Jack shouted, determination igniting in his eyes. We end this now. He pressed the final key, and the facility shook violently, lights flickering perilously as we braced ourselves. From our position, we could see the last drones spiraling in on themselves, losing their connection, unable to function without the control center. And then, all at once, the structure imploded. Walls trembled, and a blinding light exploded outward, pushing us back as the ground heaved and split apart. Run! I shouted, pulling Clara as we tore out of the collapsing building, debris flying. Just in time, we plunged into the safety of the woods, a wave of force rippling behind us. We didn't stop running until we reached the edge of the clearing, breaths ragged, hearts racing. We looked back in awe as the control center crumbled, engulfed in flames, a brilliant blaze consuming the darkness that had taken root in our lives. Jack stood beside us, staring in disbelief. Is it over? I turned to him, adrenaline still thrumming through my veins. It's just the beginning. We have so much to rebuild. Together. Clara added, and the weight of our shared struggle hung in the air. In the distance, the cries of celebration rang out from our neighbors, the remnants of fear giving way to a new sense of freedom. We had faced down chaos, and against all odds, we had won. But as we looked back at the smoldering wreckage, a flicker of unease remained. This was only one battle in a war that could lead us to greater darkness. But we stood at the precipice of change, willing to fight for the light. And in that moment, we became not just survivors but guardians of our community, ready to face whatever came next, with hope blazing brightly in our hearts.